All right, Algebra 2 fans. Today we're looking at first and a second degree systems of equations. Remember, a second degree equation, the largest exponent that you see is a 2. First degree, largest exponent is a 1. So first degree, consider linear. Second degree, we can consider quadratics or circles, or ellipses or hyperbolas. All right, so anytime we're solving these systems, you have to use substitution. There is no other way for it. You need to use substitution. Okay? So, now these questions are a little bit more challenging because on all of my questions now and in the notes and in the homework, none of them are going to say either x equals or y equals. So you have to make them say x equals or y equals. Which one of these two equations is going to be easier to make x equals or y equals? Yeah, folks, don't choose the quadratic. Usually you should normally, I don't want to say all the time, but you should normally choose the linear equation. I'm going to make this say y equals, just going to add x the other way. So I have y equals x plus 2. Okay? Remember, just added x the other way. So we had 2 plus x or x plus 2. So now I'm going to do my substitution step. What does y equal? We don't have y equals 5 or 6 or 8. We have y equals an expression x plus 2. So this x plus 2, we're going to replace it into that y spot. So we write x squared plus big giant parentheses squared equals 100. What goes inside the parentheses? That's right, it's your x plus 2. Okay, now it's just a matter of us multiplying things out. We don't do anything with this, so I'm just going to bring it down. Plus x plus 2 quantity squared. You need to multiply that out for yourself. Do it on the side, whatever you have to do to multiply it out. I'm going to do a little box. From this point forward, I'm going to be multiplying them out in my head. My expectation is that you'll be using your box or whatever you have to do. So x times x, x squared. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times 2, 4. Okay? So we have x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay? 2 times 2. 2 plus 2 is your 4x. Okay? There's a little trick here. Okay? If you can remember this, you can square the first. Okay? The 4x comes from 2x, and you see 2 of them. 2x times 2x. You see 2 of them right here. X times 2 and a 2 times x. There's your 2x and 2x because you see 2 of them. So 2 times x twice, 4. And then 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? Equals 100. All right. Now I'm going to collect like terms. This is a quadratic. Most of these are going to be a quadratic. Okay? So I'm going to have 2x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 100. Okay, now it's a quadratic, so we have to make it say equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 100. So I have 2x squared plus 4x minus 96 equals 0. Now I'm ready to factor. Now I want you to notice something. Look at all of your numbers. Sometimes you can do this, sometimes you can't. Okay, what do you notice about all our numbers? That's right, they're even. And if they're all even numbers, I can divide them all by something. Is it going to happen all the time? No, but I want you guys to recognize this. It'll make your work easier. I can divide everything by 2. So that's what I'm going to do. You can divide by numbers. We never divide by letters. If we divide by a letter, then we actually lose a factor. Okay? So I'm running out of room here. I'm going to finish up here. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 48 equals 0. So we did the work and we did the division up there. Okay. All right, now it's just a matter of factoring. Nice and easy to factor. No AC technique required. Right, I need factors of 48, so that's your 6 and 8. Okay, so we need factors of negative 48 that will subtract to a positive 2. So minus the 6 plus the 8. So we have answers, x answers of a 6 and a negative 8. Now remember, this is a systems, so now we have to find the y value. And I'm going to use this equation right here. Nice and easy. We should be able to do that in our head. So y equals 6 plus 2. So that gives us an 8. So you just plug it in. Plug in the 6. If I have two x answers, I have to have two y answers. Y equals negative 8 plus 2. So then here we have y equals negative 6. So we have our ordered pairs, 6 and an 8. So x is 6, y is 8. And then we have our x equals negative 8 and our y equals negative 6 for our two answers. Here, we just did number 1. Now, when you guys get your homework assignments, you're not going to be doing 10 of them or anything like that. You'll have a shortened assignment. Okay, you have to realize these are not a 2-point question on a test. These are like a 4-pointer or probably like a 6 or an 8-point question. There's a lot of work involved. Okay, now we're on number 2. Number 2 is a little different. This is a little wacky here. If you remember your geometry days, this was the equation of a circle. By the way, this was the equation of a circle also. So here we have an equation of a circle. It's a quadratic. Here we have our linear equation. I'm sorry, an equation of a circle is not quadratic. It is a second degree. Okay? So here is a linear equation. And again, we have to do the same thing. None of these, this linear equation does not say y equals or x equals. Okay? So we have a decision to make. Yes, we want to make it say y equals because there's a 1 in front of that y. Make your life easy. Do not make it say x equals because then eventually you'll be dividing by a negative 2. No, no, no. Make this say y equals, there's a 1 in front. So y equals 2x plus 1. You're just going to add 2x to both sides. So we have 1 plus 2x, or 2x plus 1. All right, so remember we have to do our substitution first. I know this is a big mess here, and I know that's a big mess. That's just the problem. It's just straight algebra now. A lot of algebra. All right, so I'm going to take this and plug it in right here. So this 2x plus 1 is going to go in right there. So I'm going to write that out. X minus 13 quantity squared plus, plug in the 2x plus 1. Then there's a big fat plus 2. Close the parentheses. Squared equals 169. Okay? Now what? What do we do? That's right, we start to square things. But before we start to square, what do you notice right here? What should we do? That's right, we need to combine like terms. So this one is 2x plus 3 squared. Okay? Now we'll start to square things out. So you can do your box technique here. I'm not going to fill it in. I'm going to do my little technique like I showed you up here. X squared. Then it's 13 times x. How many 13 times x's will you'll have? Just like here, you'll have these two right here. So you'll have 2 13, so that's a 26, negative 26. And then you'll have a negative 13 squared. So that's 169. Okay, so that's, we just did the box. X minus 13, x minus 13. You can fill that in on your own. You'll see this. Plus, now I have to square this. Okay, Well, you're doing it the exact same way. It's 2x squared. So that's 2x times 2x, which is 4x squared. Then it's, how many do we see of these? We got to multiply them together. It's 2x times 3, and you're going to see 2 of them. So that's 6x, and a 6x is a plus 12x. And then finally, 3 squared is 9. Okay? I'll write it out up here. You just did your box technique up here. 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3. If you need to fill it in, fill it in. But there you go. There's your 2x times 2x. There's your 4x squared. 2 times 3 is a 6. 2 times 3 is a 6. How many are there 6s? That's right. There's 2 of them, so that's your 12. And then 3 times 3 is the 9. So the 9 goes right there. Equals 169. Okay. Now I'm going to start combining like terms. So I'll combine all my likes on this left-hand side. So I have an x squared and a 4x squared. That gives me a 5x squared. I have a negative 26 plus 12 is a negative 24x. And then I have a 169 plus 9. So there's a positive 178 equals 169. And now I just subtract 169 from both sides. So we have 5x squared minus 24x plus 9 equals 0. So in other words, I could have just canceled the 169 and the 169, and we would have just had 9. Okay. Oh, what did I do wrong here? Negative 26 plus 12 is a negative 14. There. Sorry about that, folks. There, fixed my mistake before I went on too far. Oh no, what's going on? All right, so there we are, 169, 14. Negative 26 plus 12 is a negative 14. All right, fixed my mistake. All right, we're ready to do our AC technique of factoring. So we got to do our A times C is 45, and it's positive 45, right? 5 times 9, positive 45. So I need factors of 49 that will add to 14. Well, there's not a lot of factors of 45. 1 and 45, 3 and 15, 5 and 9. There you go. Well, which one adds to 14? That's right, 5 and a 9. So we have 5x squared. Remember, it's a negative 14. We know the signs are the same. So minus 5x minus 9x plus 9. Now I can do my split down the middle. I'm going to slide this up just slightly. So I'm going to do my split down the middle. So I'm going to factor out of 5x here. And if I factor out of 5x, that's right, we have an x minus 1. What better be over here? That's right, an x minus 1. And if you're not sure, what are we dividing everything by? Well, that's right, we're dividing by a negative 9. Okay. So I'll write my factors up here. So we have a 5x minus 9 is one factor, and we have an x minus 1 as the other factor, equal to 0. So we have answers of an x equals 1, and we have an answers of an x equals 9/5. Okay? Now if you have a calculator, you can easily divide this out in your calculator to get 1.8. That will probably make your life a lot easier, so you don't have to worry about your calculator. So yeah, 9 divided by 5 is 1.8. So I'm going to use 1.8 when we go to plug this in. Okay? So I'm going to go plug in. Remember, we found the x's. X equals a 1.8 and x equals a 1. Guys, the only reason why I left this as 1.8 because 9 divided by 5 was a beautiful decimal. If this decimal was like a big gobbledygook mess, I would have left it a fraction. All right, so I'm going to start plugging in to find my y. So y equals 2 times a 1.8 plus 1. So we have 4.6 when it's all said and done. Right? And then here I'm going to do my y equals 2 times 1 plus 1, so this gives us y equals 3. So we have our two answers. We have our y equals 4.6, x equals 1.8, y equals 4.6, x equals 1, and y equals 3. Okay, nice, straightforward as can be. Okay. It's pretty straightforward, guys. Pretty straightforward. All right. Next set of questions. All right. All right. Well, that's right. Here's another systems right here. What are we going to do? That's right. Well, we got to make it say y equals. So all I'm going to do is just take this 3x and move it to the other side. So y equals a negative 3x minus 1. So all we do is subtract 3x from both sides. Okay. Right, here's my substitution. All of this goes right here. I know there's a 3 in front, so this is going to take a couple extra steps. So I have 5x squared minus 3, big ginormous parentheses, squared equals negative 7. Okay? What do I put inside this big giant parentheses? That's right, it's the negative 3x minus 1. What do we do first? Right, inside, well, there's nothing to do inside the parentheses. Right, we have to square first. You do not distribute that 3. You distribute negative 3 when we're all done squaring. Okay? If we're not done squaring, you don't touch that negative 3 over here. So we got some work to do. 5x squared minus 3 times a big giant quantity equals negative 7. Okay? If you want me to, here's the box up here. Negative 3x minus 1, negative 3x minus 1. So what goes right here? That's right, negative 3 squared. There it is. Negative 3 times negative 3 is your 9x squared. Now, this spot right here is what? Right, negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. Well, how many positive 3's are we going to see? All right, we got another one right here. So we have a 3 and a 3 gives us a plus 6x. And then what spot's right here? That's right, negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. So plus 1. Okay? Now I distribute the negative 3. So 5x squared minus 27x squared minus 18x minus 3 equals 0. Equals negative 7. What am I doing? All right, we combine. 5x and negative 27 is a negative 22x squared minus 18x. And I think what I'm going to do is, you see this negative 7 over here? I'm going to do this all at the same time. I'm going to add 7 the other way. So I'm going to save myself a step. So I have a plus 4 equals 0. So I combined these two. I combined those. And then I added 7 the other way so I can already have it equal to 0. Now, this is what I was talking about. Look at all your numbers. That's right. We can divide them by 2. Well, now be careful, though. I'm glad you said 2. I'm glad I said 2. Because there's a negative here. I don't want to do any factoring with a negative. So I'm going to divide everything by a negative 2. Now I have, that's right, 11 x squared plus 9x minus 2 equals 0. And now we got to do our AC. I know the AC is going to be a pain in the butt. Whatever. We're going to have fractional answers. We'll be fine. You have a calculator. Okay, hopefully you have a calculator on your phone that will change things to fractions. I told you that. Calculator X on your iPhone or your Apple on your Android. Calculator X. Get the I believe it's the free graphing calculator one. I don't think you want this. I don't think you'll need the scientific. Get the graphing one. You'll do everything we need to do with it. Okay? So our A times C. So I'm going to rewrite stuff up here. So I got 11x squared plus 9x minus 2 equals 0. So our A times C is that's right, a negative 22. So what numbers are we going to use to factors of 22 to give us a 9? Yeah, you're right, 11 and 2. And we have to do what? We have to subtract to 9. That's right. So we're going to do 11x squared plus 11x minus 2x minus 2. So we're going to use a positive 11 and a negative 2 to add up to 9. Okay. All right, so here's my split. Factor out 11x, that's right, so it's x plus 1. What better be over here? That's right, x plus 1. And so we have a negative 2. So we have 11x minus 2, and we have x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, that's right, we said each piece equal to 0, so this x equals negative 1. We've done this. I'll divide it out. So 11x minus 2 equals 0. We add 2, right? We add. And after we add 2, what do we have to do? We divide by 11. So 11x equals adding 2, and then divide by 11. So we have x equals 2 over 11, and x equals negative 1. Now we got to find y. That's right. I'm going to use this one right here. So y equals negative 3 times 2 over 11 minus 1. I'm just going to type that right in my calculator. I have a nice scientific calculator right here will do the job for me. It helps if I turn it on. So negative 3 times 2 divided by 11. Oop, I already hit 77. Let's try that again. Negative 3 times 2 divided by 11, then we're going to minus 1. Hit equal, gives these big ugly guy. You know what, folks, if you can't change this back to a fraction, then just round off to like negative 1.55, okay, if you can't do that. This calculator should do that. Let me see, I should be able to just hit this. There, negative 17 over 11. If you can't change that to a fraction, just round off to 2 decimal places for me. Okay? So x equals and y equals. And now I'm going to do x equals 1. Y equals negative 3 times negative 1 minus 1. So what's that? 3 minus 1 is 2. Y equals 2. There. For our answers. All right, last one. There's a reason why I put a star on it, because this is question number 6 on the homework, so I'll get it started. So this is number 6 from the homework. Okay? It's number 6. I'm going to get it started. The reason why I wanted to do this one, because look at this linear portion down here. You don't have a nice, beautiful y. We have a 2y. But I have a nice, beautiful x. So you know what this means for me? I'm not going to make it say y equals. I'm going to make it say x equals. Don't make your work harder than it needs to be. This is a perfect x right here. There's a negative 1 in front. Well, in order for me to make it a positive 1, I'm going to take this negative x, I'll move it to the right. And this 12, I'll move to the left. So we have a 2y minus 12 equals a positive x. So in other words, I added x to the right, I subtracted 12 to the left. There. Now I got x equals. So now what do? That's right. I don't plug in here. That's the y. We got to plug in for x. So we're plugging in right there. So big giant parentheses, minus 4, close parentheses squared, plus y minus 3, parentheses squared, equals 25. Okay, so what goes in this big giant blank space here? That's right, your 2y minus 12. Okay, what do we do now? All right, we can't do any squaring. We have to combine like terms. So 2y minus 16. All right, now we can square. You've seen this enough times now. Okay, so what do we have here? That's right, 2y squared. There it is, 2y, 4y squared. Then it's, remember, the middle, it's 2y times 16. How many times do you see that? Twice, that's right. 2y times 16. 2y times 16, we see it twice. So 32 and 32 is a negative 64y. Okay? All right, 2 times 16 is 32. So negative 32y. We got two of them, negative 64. And then negative 16 times negative 16 is a positive 256. All right, plus. All right, we can just square this out. Y squared, what is it? That's right, minus 6y plus 9 equals 25. Okay, now we're combining. So I have a 5y squared, negative 64, negative 6 is a negative 70y. 256 and a 9 is plus 265. All right, yeah, 2 equals 25. All right, we got to make it say equals 0, so I'm going to subtract 25. So we have 5y squared minus 70y. I'm subtracting 25. So we have plus 240 equals 0. Look at those numbers. What do you think we should do? That's right. We can divide everything by 5. So I'll divide everything by 5. Remember, what you do to the right, you got to do to the left. So y squared minus 14y plus, oh, I have a calculator for that. Hopefully you don't need a calculator for 0 divided by 5, but we got, so 240 divided by 5, 48 equals 0. All right, now I just have to factor. Oh, wow, that's a nice easy one to factor. So I'm just going to slide this up a little bit, and I'm going to factor it under here. Right, y minus 8, y minus 6. Look at that, 6 and an 8. 6 times 8 is 48. You add them up, we get 14. Boom, done. So, setting each piece equal to 0, we have a y equals a positive 8, y equals a positive 6. Right, all we have to do is find x now. There's the equation that we're using. So, x equals 2 times 8 minus 12. And you know what I'll do? I'm going to write out the other one too. X equals 2 times 6 minus 12. Okay. All right, 2 times 8 is, that's right, 16 minus 4. Minus 12 is 4. So there's one set. Remember, x equals 4, y equals 8. And then here, 12 minus 12 is 0, so x equals 0. There we go. We have all of our answers. All done. So I just did number 6 for you. Hopefully you paid attention.